Time now for the Waiver Wire, presented by YouTube TV. This list comes to us courtesy of Matt Okada. At quarterback, Gardner Minshew, Beowulf himself. Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, Tyson Bagent, he of the chest tattoo, and Kyler Murray, who's back practicing again. All should be on your Waiver Wire watch list. At running back, deep list, Chuba Hubbard. The Rams duo of Darrell Henderson and Royce Freeman. Zach Evans was a no-show last week. Jaylen Warren for the Steelers. Amari DiMercado, who I guess is back in being a thing again in Arizona. Kareem Hunt in Cleveland, especially if Jerome Ford misses time. You got the duo of Deontay Foreman and Rashawn Johnson for the Bears. Gus Edwards, Tyler Algier, who got a lot of work on Sunday with Bijan Robinson's mysterious illness, and Ezekiel Elliott back in our fantasy lives in New England. Now some pass catchers for you. Deontay Johnson, who's maybe not out there, but at least worth taking a look in case somebody got impatient and dropped him. Rashee Rice, who we talked about earlier. Jackson Smith in Jigba, Josh Downs, who is balling right now. Kendrick Bourne, who's had a couple of nice games for the Patriots. Jalen Hyatt starting to get more work for Big Blue. Odell Beckham Jr. And then some tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, Logan Thomas, and yes, Taysom Hill is a thing again in New Orleans. So with that, let's welcome in our friend Matt Okada. You can check out his weekly waiver wire article at NFL.com/waiverwire. And so, Matt, after a couple of weeks of buys, no teams on a bye in week 8. I don't understand how scheduling works. That is way above my pay grade, but I would think that I could do it a little bit more evenly than this. That's just me. But let's talk about some of these guys. Let's talk about Deontay Johnson specifically. You mentioned it in the column. He's not really going to be in a lot of leagues. He shouldn't be, but it's one of those things where, hey, man, maybe just scour just in case something weird happens and he's out there, right?
Yeah, he's been out so long that he's available in almost a third of NFL.com leagues. So just in the off chance that yours is one of them, everybody should give a quick glance, see if he's there. Because if he is, he must be added, as evidenced by his game on Sunday, 5 catches, 79 yards in his first game back. He is a great PPR wide receiver, likely to be somewhere in the wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range rest of the season.
And then a quarterback that you have on your list is Desmond Ridder. And I know it's a good matchup against the Tennessee Titans, but Desmond Ridder's on the road. So which narrative wins out this week?
Good question. Listen, I know we're kind of all supposed to hate Desmond Ridder for what he's done to Drake London and Kyle Pitts, except that London and Pitts have actually been much better recently, and it's been directly tied to improvement from Ridder. Will he be able to conquer the road narrative? We'll see, but over the first 4 weeks of the season in total, he averaged 186 passing yards per game, and over the last 3, he's averaged 295. So he has found something. He has clicked with his pass catchers. He is starting to play some competent quarterback, and on Sunday, he added his 3rd rushing touchdown of the season, along with 38 yards on the ground. Always a threat to do that. Each of the last 2 games, including this one in week 7, was marred by a trio of turnovers, but I don't think we should expect that every week. And one of his fumbles on Sunday was inches from being a 2nd rushing touchdown, and instead became one of those unbelievably stupid touchbacks that are the bane of fantasy players' existence. And yeah, you mentioned it. Titans next week. After that, Vikings and Cardinals. So it's a great stretch of matchups. I think he's streamable in all of them.
So Desmond Ridder back in our fantasy lives. Darrell Henderson back in our fantasy lives as well. And I guess Royce Freeman for that matter too. We spent all last week like, hey, everybody go get Zach Evans. Zach Evans and I played the same number of snaps this past week. I will say this, shout out to our own Laquan Jones, who was ahead of the curve and told people to go get Darrell Henderson. But for those who didn't listen, I guess, Matt, they should go get Darrell Henderson, huh?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is that Darrell Henderson is back in Sean McVay's life. And he likes that. He went out and got him for a very particular reason, which is he knows Darrell Henderson. He's been his starter before, and Henderson knows this offense. And he gave us the heads up going into Sunday. Henderson and Freeman, it was kind of late and after waivers ran, but those 2 guys are going to lead the backfield. And sure enough, they were pretty evenly split, and Evans got literally no offensive snaps. And unlike with Amari DiMercado, who you saw pop back up onto that waiver wire list, I don't think there's any path for Evans to ascend into the useful category of fantasy RBs in this room. I think Henderson is Sean McVay's bestie from seasons past, who he brought in to be this guy. He had 58% of the snaps, which was the most, 19 touches was the most, scored the goal line touchdown. If anything, I expect Henderson to take more complete control of this backfield as things progress. Remember, this performance was his first game basically off the couch. So I still do like adding Royce Freeman as the secondary guy, the 1B maybe, but I think Henderson probably pulls away even a little bit more than he was in this past Sunday's game.
I have a number of teams where I added Henderson, and I'm feeling great about that right now. I also have a number of teams where I have Jaylen Warren, and he scored a touchdown yesterday, but for the first time all year, Najee Harris scored more fantasy points than he did. But I like the matchup for Warren next week. How are you feeling about him?
Yeah, listen, we're going to call the Najee scoring more than Warren finally thing a fluke, not the sign of things to come. And that's just that's what baffles me about the fact that Warren is still this available. He has consistently been the better fantasy back, and I understand he is still technically kind of the RB2 on that team, which might make him a little bit less attractive. But to your point, he's been consistent. He scored double-digit fantasy points in 3 straight and 4 of his last 5 as the backup. I think this has to end. We need to get him on our rosters. That already is flex-worthy production on those capped touches. But if anything ever happens to Najee, or if the Steelers finally recognize, oh, this guy might actually be the better, more efficient running back, we'll use Najee when we need to in some short yardage situations, but let's actually feature this guy. He becomes a consistent RB2 in fantasy. Warren is the kind of guy who down the stretch through the fantasy playoffs could end up helping win you championships. I just have this weird, little tiny feeling that that's going to happen, but he's been productive enough that he should be on your roster regardless and in your lineup plenty often.
It feels like we've all recognized that Warren is the better back, but Matt Canada seems to be the last one to know, and that's sort
not
of
too
issue.
surprising.
Yes, it seems to be a theme there in Pittsburgh. Also a theme, Josh Downs balling out. And I know you've been on Josh Downs for weeks. We've talked about Josh Downs for a number of weeks. It seems like a lot of people, at least in the fantasy community, have realized what Josh Downs is doing. I guess this is our plea that fantasy managers out there understand what Josh Downs is doing now, right?
It absolutely is. We talked about him on this show 2 weeks ago, and then the only reason we didn't talk about him last week is that we had just talked about him the week prior, and we can only hit you on the head so many times. He's still available in 77% of leagues, and I do not understand why. Even before Sunday, which was his best game of the year, he had scored 48 fantasy points over the prior month, which was good for wide receiver 25 over that span. That means startable in almost every league in your flex spot or in your wide receiver 2 spot. Then in week 7, against the Browns defense, no less, 5 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets, all of which led the team. Think about, please. He's a dynamic playmaker. He doesn't even need a ton of targets to make an impact and produce for fantasy. But now that he's consistently flashed for Indy, he is starting to get those targets as well. Once again, I think he's the type of player who could win you some crucial weeks down the stretch. He's already on the edge of being an every week flex consideration, and he still has unrealized ceiling down the stretch.
Speaking of people that can we just go out and pick him up already? Josh Palmer. Every week now since Williams has gone down, he pretty much leads the team in receiving yards. And every week I'm like, he has to be way too picked up to be included on the waiver list. And then nope, here he is each and every week.
Yeah, I think the theme of this waiver week is why are these guys still available? Can we please stop this so that we can move on to some fresher guys? 133 yards and 18.3 fantasy points on Sunday, but honestly, those aren't even the whole story. That production doesn't even matter as much to me as how good Palmer looks on tape. He just looks amazing. He's playing excellent football. He's been an extremely reliable and productive target for Justin Herbert ever since Mike Williams went down with that season-ending injury. And given the fact that Austin Eckler seems a little banged up right now or is not getting a full complement of his typical opportunity, Palmer is just straight up the number 2 weapon in this offense right now. He has double-digit fantasy points in 4 straight games. He's somehow still available in 80% of NFL.com leagues. That number is lower elsewhere. This is utter nonsense. If it's a fear of Quentin Johnston ascension, take that fear and toss it out the window because it is not happening, at least right now. Palmer is firmly entrenched as a significant and productive piece of this offense, which is an offense you want pieces in. He should be added in every league and started, honestly, in the vast majority of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope it's not Quentin Johnston fear that's keeping people away from Josh Palmer, because that is a completely unfounded concern right now in this offense. Kendrick Bourne, starting to play well. And I know there was some talks, people have done some research that I guess Kendrick Bourne is better when there's no Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju was out again this week. But at this point, I feel like Kendrick Bourne's done enough on his own in this offense that he has a legitimate, bona fide role in a connection with Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think that really is the key, is the Patriots need to recognize that if Juju's out there, it doesn't matter. He's not playing well. You need to continue using Bourne. Last week I said, Bourne had his first good game since week 1. The Patriots had their best looking, with air quotes, offensive performance since week 1, and I made that connection, and I said, maybe the coach Bills need to get more and more involved, and then they will actually have a functional offense. And lo and behold, team high 7 targets in Sunday's massive upset over the Bills. Bourne converted them to 6 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown, and the Patriots scored a season-high 29 points. I do not think it's a coincidence, and in this wide receiver room that is admittedly horrible, maybe the worst in the league, Bourne seems like the clear-cut best option to me, I think to us, to much of the fantasy sphere. I think that the Patriots coaching staff is going to recognize that, and if he were in a more high-flying offense, maybe we consider him a wide receiver too, if he's at top of their depth chart. But even in this offense with Mac Jones at the helm, I think he's an every week flex consideration and can have some boom weeks for you through the playoff run.
And we are always looking for tight end help, and it looks like we had a breakout in Dalton Kincaid. I know you're going to talk plenty about all the stats and everything. There was also the Bills' biggest play of the game, a 4th down conversion, was a design play for Dalton Kincaid, which I don't think will stand out in the box score, but goes a long way for his fantasy value.
Absolutely crucial to point out, Florio. Great spot. 4th and 2 from the 8-yard line late in the game. They converted on a pass to Kincaid, which was entirely designed to go to him, and they scored the go-ahead touchdown 3 plays later, I believe. Now, they didn't win the game because Patriots drove down, but it showed there is trust in Kincaid that is growing. The usage we saw grow, and the talent has been on display, and we saw it again this week. Remember, the Bills traded up to get this guy in the first round, and I have thought since the draft, I think he is the closest thing to, I won't say he is, but he is the closest thing to a next Travis Kelce that we've had in recent years at this position. I liked him better than Sam Laporta, and we've seen what he has done. 8 catches on 8 targets. Can you say reliable this past week for 75 yards? So if this was the true breakout game, over the rest of the season, he's a startable fantasy tight end. If this was a blip of, ooh, that's what Kincaid can be, and we still need to wait a couple weeks, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, he's a rookie tight end. We have to be careful with these kinds of things, but he must be on your roster in the opportunity or the case that is what we see rest of season. And I do believe that if he leapfrogs Dawson Knox permanently, which he certainly did this past week, he is going to be a fantasy asset down the stretch.
Yeah, looking forward to that because I love Dalton Kincaid. Hopefully the opportunity comes. That's Matt Okada. You can check him out at Twitter, at Matt Okada. Also check out the article at NFL.com waiver wire. Matthew, thank you. We'll talk to you again next week. In the meantime, for the rest of our show, that is it. We are done. We appreciate you hanging out with the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Subway. You know the drill. Tell 2 friends to tell 2 friends. Rate, review, and remember, health nuts are going to feel stupid someday. Lying in hospitals dying of nothing. Be safe, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you again real soon.